You are now tuned in to the New Old Heads podcast, brought to you by BringingDownTheBand.com. No bad ideas. Coleman Dental and Printfinity. I am Major 7th. I make beats and I have the t-shirts to prove it. And to my left, as always, is the one and only Lonegevity.
Hello.
Hello. To my left, as always, is the one and only DJ Jay Diff.
Salutations.
Rocking that exclusive Printfinity Outcast. Well, I'm not
well,
gonna
you can't really
him.
say Outcast because this is.
I'd say it's quality. It's reference to very quality music.
Just quality music in general. Yeah, we'll just
over the
we'll
years.
Go that route.
Yeah.
We'll go that route. And to my right, as always, the incomparable DJ Spoolz.
Hello, Michael.
How are you, sir?
Doing well, man. On this 4th of July, how are you?
Yes, sir, man. I'm blessed. I can't complain.
Good, man. I'm glad to hear that.
Episode 36. Jerome Bettis.
Nah, I was gonna say Wu-Tang episode.
Oh, Wu-Tang episode, 36 Chambers.
Yeah. Although I'm a big Jerome Bettis fan.
Yeah.
Shout out to Notre Dame.
What you got, Long? Wu-Tang?
Yeah, sure. No preference.
Okay. We can go Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It's the 36th Chamber episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Slash the bus.
Yeah, slash. Yeah, we can call this the Wu-Tang episode.
Bus.
Episode 36, New Old Heads podcast. So, yeah. There was an elephant in the room this past week, but we'll get to that later. I want to start NBA quickly. Paul George is gone, DJ Jay Diff. He is no longer an Indiana Pacer. He is now a Oklahoma City Thunder.
Never seen that one coming. Like I knew he was leaving, but I never seen him going to Oklahoma. And why would the Pacers send him to Oklahoma?
I think they sent to him
for nothing.
I think they sent him there to troll him, one. And two, to keep him from LeBron and keep him from the Cavs who are in the division.
Nah.
I really think they trolled him to send him to OKC.
We're trolling ourselves.
Is that
what did we get out of the deal?
Oh.
We had deals on the table that were far better
than
what we took. So there's no reason to troll somebody that's still going to end up in L.A. regardless. You still put him in a better situation.
You did.
And you put us in a worse situation.
You did.
And not only that, you got rid of Jeff Teague as well.
Which was terrible.
Did they really? I didn't see that.
Minnesota.
He is now Minnesota Timberwolves.
No kidding.
Yes.
He's gone.
They just didn't sign him, though, right?
They didn't re-sign him.
That's what I mean.
Oh, okay. So there wasn't a trade. He's just free agency pickup.
So he'll be the starting point guard with Jimmy Butler, Wiggins, Karl Anthony Towns.
Dude.
Taj Gibson went to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Watch out for the Timberwolves, man.
Watch
I knew
out
they were on the
West,
come up.
period, man.
Yes.
Like, what are in your Bulls, what did they do?
Oh, my goodness. They decided to waive Rajon Rondo.
Okay.
Which I wasn't a big fan of. They traded Jimmy Butler to the Timberwolves for Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, and I think a pick in the future. No, they did it for the 7th pick, and they then drafted that guy. He's like from Finland or Norway who played for Arizona last year, which, in my opinion, they could have drafted far better people in that position. But we'll see how that guy turns out.
We will.
I see it being pretty ugly for both the Bulls and Pacers over the next few years, I would say. Dwayne Wade did re-sign for about $24 million for one season. And they, people saw some interview where they asked him, like, why'd you do that? He was like, I have 24 million reasons why I did that.
Don't be surprised if D Wade gets bought out and he ends up in Cleveland. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, that could happen.
Don't be surprised.
Cleveland doesn't have the money.
If he's bought out, he'll get his 24 million from Chicago, and then he can sign for
like
much
$3 million or
much
something
less.
like that.
Yeah, to go to Cleveland. Because he's gonna get his bread regardless. So that's what the buyout does.
That's the them NBA standards.
Yes, sir.
NFL,
yes, sir.
they don't get that luxury.
Not at all. There was a graphic that had I'm going to say possibly 20 to 25 NFL players on one side,
and
the
2
contracts
NBA
for
players:
Kyle Lowry, Steph Curry, and Blake Griffin, who also re-upped in Los Angeles for the Clippers. Those 3 guys had the same salaries as like 25 NFL players, including quarterbacks.
Yeah,
amazing.
I thought Chris Paul went to Houston.
He did, but Blake Griffin re-signed.
Gotcha. Okay.
He re-signed for $5 million, over $170 million. I'm sorry, 5 years
and
for
Steph
over
got
201. His is the highest ever thus far.
$201 million over 5 years.
Yep.
Still not baseball deals yet.
Not quite, but
Paul Millsap got like $90 million for 3 years.
he did
Yeah.
to go to
Mike Conley.
Denver.
Mike Conley last year got
56, I believe.
Yeah. He's like number 2.
Yep.
2 or 3 as far.
It's going to be kind of like the NFL is doing right now, where you guys probably saw Derek Carr is now the highest paid player ever in football.
Oh, is he?
Which was previously Andrew Luck.
Yep, because he just signed an extension with
Right.
the Raiders.
Right.
You're going to see that in the NBA too. Each season, somebody's going to be the new highest paid player ever, I think.
See, the NBA receive so much money from the television rights. The television deal that they just had just blew the cap up. So now it's like I can pay Steph Curry over $40 million a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's no problem to have LeBron at 33 or 35. I'm not sure what he's going to get.
That was one of the reasons that the whole lockout was coming about too, and the kind of like the players' union,
Right?
Because they had got together because the players deserve to be paid.
Agreed.
I mean, I understand that.
I agree.
I think LeBron had got on TV and said Steph deserves $400 million.
Yeah, like if you think about, you can use LeBron as an example.
And he was one of the catalysts for that too.
Yes, he was. If you look at him from an economic standpoint, what he brings to the city of Cleveland outside of the basketball arena, it's amazing. Like, he really could get paid like $65-70 million a year for his impact on the city of Cleveland outside of the basketball.
But he's definitely getting that because his endorsements, his investments, things like that.
Yeah.
He's definitely up there. It may not show that on the dotted line on the NBA contract, but he's definitely.
His portfolio game is high.
Yeah.
And I take back what I said before. I think those numbers are bigger than, Major League Baseball numbers now.
Because, Trout, I think Trout is going to be the next guy, either him or what's my man's name? My guy in Washington.
Giancarlo Stanton, right? The guy who plays for Miami.
Yeah.
He signed a massive deal last year or 2 years ago. Before that, I think it was A-Rod at because he had signed 2 gigantic contracts.
His was over $200 million as well.
His first one was 10 years, $253.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think he signed a 10-year, close to $3 after that.
Bryce Harper is going to cash out.
Giancarlo Stanton.
So is A-Rod a billionaire or close to it?
I don't know.
I
don't know how he spends.
He might be in the neighborhood.
He spends his money or whatever. But
he might be in the neighborhood.
I don't think he doesn't play baseball anymore, if I'm not mistaken. His legacy's tarnished anyway, unfortunately, from just a pure baseball
dude
standpoint.
Is corny.
But he's made a lot of money.
Because his first contract came from the Rangers, right?
Texas Rangers.
Yeah, and then he got traded over to
the big contract. Yeah.
Then he got traded to New York, and that was Soriano was a part of that trade, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Who eventually came to the Cubs, had the worst years of his career, and then went back to the Yankees or Rangers and started playing well again.
Right.
Sorry, I'm not bitter. But God, man, that's any way you slice it up, man. Whatever sport, that's big numbers, man. It's big money.
Yeah.
And then side note, man, watch out for these Timberwolves. I like what they're doing because they're kind of halfway going the old NBA route and halfway going the new NBA route. So they've drafted or picked up players like Karl Anthony Towns, and then they got Wiggins in that trade for Love.
Right.
So they're building internally, but then they've also gone out and made deals for Jimmy Butler,
Jeff Teague
now, who signed as just a free agent. Taj is going to be a great 6th or 7th man for that team. They're
dangerous. They have the potential to be very, very dangerous.
And Tom Thibodeau's a really good coach. I was really kind of frustrated when the Bulls fired him, man, especially deciding to put Fred Hoiberg in there. But
the mayor.
Watch out, man. I think the Timberwolves, they're young and they're quick, and they might give some folks some trouble.
We'll see. Shout out to Kevin Durant as well. He decided to take less, signed a 2-year deal with a 1-year player option, which enabled them to re-sign Iguodala. Iguodala got that paper for him. He's an older player, but he's still priceless to them.
Oh, yeah.
So, Steph got that paper.
Yeah.
And KD just decided to take less because he'll keep his options open.
How many years is that, 2?
I think he signed for 2 years, and he'll get maybe 34 a year or something like that. He could have got more than that, but he's trying to keep that cap down because he knows Steph is going to be a max guy. Clay can low-key ask for a max contract. You got Draymond. So they're going to run into cap issues down the road. So KD's like, all right, I'll just take less money now so I can bring back Sean Livingston. We can bring back Iguodala so we can still have our core intact, and then we'll just build around that. So, I give him props for that. I don't think it's that hard of a decision when you got that much talent on your team, but he still didn't have to do it, so I give him credit for that.
I'd always heard, too, I think we were talking about this before the show, that Durant wanted to end up back in Oklahoma City at some point, and it would have been really interesting if he would have done it this year
with
Paul George being there. 'Cause
I hadn't heard that. Like, I was hearing stuff like he wanted to go back to like the Washington area.
yeah, I'd heard that a couple years ago when everybody was kind of, or when like LeBron went home and
Right.
a couple other people did. But man, could you imagine Paul George, Russell Westbrook, and Kevin Durant on the same team?
Dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, they don't like each other, so.
And I think that's real, to Lone's point.
Yeah.
I think that's real. I don't think that's not going to be patched up soon. I think it will be. It's down the road. We're older. We understand. I apologize. You know, we've matured, but I don't think that's going away anytime soon. Russell Westbrook is an absolute goon, so I don't think he's going to forget that.
He's happy that PG is here.
Yeah, I would be too. Paul George is my second favorite player, so I'm happy for him. I just kind of thought he might have been in Cleveland, but
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not sad about that.
I know
I did not see that on the radar. I thought it would have been Cleveland
Boston.
or Boston.
Yeah,
Man, Boston, that would have been interesting.
Boston
If he'd end
has,
up going to
That would have been ammo for Gordon Hayward to go there.
Yep.
I like Gordon Hayward.
I think Gordon
like
will
him.
probably end up still going there. I think he'll definitely play for what's the coach? Stevenson.
Yeah.
I definitely think he would do that before the end of his NBA career.
Utah can give him that paper. They can max him. He can get Stephish money if he stays in Utah.
PG could have got Stephish money too if he had stayed here, but he wants to go to LA.
To your point,
they said Hayward could make $30 to $40 million more.
yeah,
if he
if he
stays
stays
in
in
Utah.
Utah, that's a lot of money to walk away from
It is.
for your college coach, right?
Do they do sign and trades anymore? I know that used to be a bit. They used to do that in the NBA.
They can
a
still
lot.
do that.
Re-sign for the big money with your current team and then get traded.
And
I'm
do a
not
package
sure.
deal. I believe they still do that.
Yeah. I think the deal just has to be within 85% either way from a contract standpoint
Right.
for both teams. So you can't take a guy that's making $30 million a year and trade him for a guy that's making $1 million a year.
Right.
Yeah. But
Right.
regardless of talent or production or anything like that.
It's gonna be interesting. Like I'm very excited to. Cleveland's not doing anything. They fired their GM 2 or 3 days before the draft, which is stupid.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
David Griffin, they fired him. He was actually in the process of brokering a 5-team deal that would have sent Kevin Love to Phoenix. Paul George would have ended up in Cleveland, and the Pacers would have received a couple players plus draft picks, like 2 or 3 first-rounders. But the Pacers declined on that. In my opinion, they declined on that because they didn't want Paul to, just go into the division and get to the final.
I think they don't want Paul George in the East.
I
think that's what it kind of boils down to. But at the same time, you need to get something out of the deal. You don't just give away a star player. And don't get me wrong, I like Victor Oladipo. He's played at IU.
He's solid.
He's solid. He was drafted to with the Magic, and then went to OKC.
Yeah,
Plays good defense.
Yeah, he's
solid.
good. There's not a shot at him, but the caliber player that Paul George is and what we traded for and got, it doesn't match up.
Yeah.
So
Sabonis, Arvydas Sabonis, his son, also came over about 7 points a game in Oklahoma City. So he has potential.
Sure.
He's just
he's
not,
young. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just not quite there yet. Impactful.
Yeah. This whole letting Larry Bird go his separate way isn't quite working. Like you would think that we would make better decisions. But it's not looking that way.
It was in Cleveland's best interest to not get rid of Kevin Love, I think, too.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
Long term.
Mm-hmm. What, you give up Kevin Love in hopes Paul George sticks around for more than a year?
That's fair. I just know Kevin Love in terms of Golden State is a terrible matchup.
Oh, yeah.
Let
me ask you this as a guy who's I know you're a LeBron fan, but kind of as by default a Cleveland fan.
Yes. Well said. Thank you.
Do you think? I listen. Do you think Kevin Love has produced the way that they thought he was going to produce since he's been there?
I can't say Kevin Love has not produced because we won a championship.
Mm-hmm.
Now, has he been a superstar big three player consistently? No.
Yeah.
But I can't knock him because we've already accomplished what the goal was. Now,
when he goes to guard someone, it's like his feet are in a pool of glue.
he's not athletic enough.
No.
So when you switch out and you put him on a Draymond Green or somebody like that, he just can't.
The Warriors exposed that too over the years, over the last couple of years, I think, in the finals. But
so
I don't
like
know.
Kevin Love though.
Maybe I'm wrong, man. Maybe they trade him, they get George, and they try to convince him to stick around more than a year or something like that. But I mean, he said it himself, man. He's going to be a Laker next year. So
yeah, PG and the Lakers, Lonzo Ball, a lot of excitement back in LA. Magic's back, so it'll be interesting. Good for them. But I kind of
knowing you're not going to get George this year as the Lakers, man, I would have hung on to D'Angelo Russell.
Just kept him, yeah.
And just to see how good, because you're putting a lot of stock in a guy who's never played an NBA minute yet in Lonzo Ball.
Yeah.
Great ball player in college and obviously in high school, but I'm curious to see how he's gonna,
They're giving him the keys.
They sure are.
They are giving him the keys. He has them. So
but we'll see how that all works.
Shout out to Dad out there wrestling and
He out here clowning.
Yeah, he is.
He is definitely living out what he
His
did not
second
get to live
childhood.
out by not going to the league.
Dude's having a blast right
and
now.
not being better than Jordan.
Lone, do you know who had the record second childhood?
One of your favorites of all time.
No.
You don't know who had the record second childhood?
I just said no.
It gets brought up as one of your favorites every episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
well. Nope.
No.
Okay, just checking. It's a great album.
He ain't going.
I'm sure it's probably a good album.
Very good.
Probably for people that like that type of
That type of
That type of good hip hop.
that nosness.
That Nasness.
Nasness. Is Nasness a new one? We're gonna roll
It's
with
the
that.
first time I've heard it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not nonsense. It's nos.
Oh, now they. Wow.
Now,
Nice.
now he does it with the wordplay. We see you.
Goodness. Okay.
Okay. I wasn't taking shots. I just
I'm
wanted
not
to see if you knew the song.
I'm not a lyricist, so
I'm gonna.
Well, I disagree with that, but we can we'll talk about that I guess another time.
what's that off of?
Stillmatic, sorry.
Hmm.
Pretty good album there.
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
Okay. He's not back. This is why you have to love Longevity for the simple fact that he's not gonna back down. If he assassinates your brand, he's gonna consistently assassinate your brand. Now, I give him props for that.
I just saw a Printfinity shirt with your brand.
Yeah.
And like in the crosshairs, like public.
Lone is not cutting corners. If he assassinates your brand, he will consistently do so. And I respect a man that will,
Yeah, he ain't going.
That'll just ether your brand
Yeah.
left and right. Like,
He ain't going.
I don't think you
Nas
ether
is
anybody's
cool.
brand.
as we grow, perhaps one day, Biz Markie and Nas will get a whiff of all this slander that's been going on through these first 35 episodes.
I think that you're probably slandering him more than I am.
You are kind of
Oh,
because
you
you
like
keep
that.
bringing
You
it
like
up.
that,
Nah,
yeah.
I'm just saying he's got a point.
It's me. So if I keep bringing it up, then that and okay.
I mean,
follow you.
what have I really said?
You said you hate Nas.
Really?
Here we go.
With the head tilt.
Hey, shouts to Sean's shirt today, man.
Yes.
That shirt is awesome, dude.
Stone's throw.
Kind of been looking at it. Yeah.
Shout out to Stone's Throw. Yeah, that's different. I like how it's over to the right too. Yeah, that's a dope design.
Peanut Butter Wolf and
It's
Mad
actually
Lib
to the left.
My right.
years
the way I'm
ago
sitting now.
came to Missing
Yeah,
Link
that's
Records.
my right.
Oh yeah.
And we're digging there
Nah,
back when Missing Link was,
Regardless, it's gonna be the left, bro.
was back at 61st in college.
Okay.
Yeah. And they just happened to be in Indy, and we're
Cool.
digging in there, and Nick and DJ Hellhammer, man,
Okay.
Dave Britz.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got like a picture
That is a
with him.
dope name. DJ Hellhammer.
Yep.
He used to DJ at Front Page with Metronome.
Mhm.
Nice. Nice.
That was,
a dope
that was
name.
actually the first place I ever DJ'd in my life, outside of my basement. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That's what's up.
Mine was
With records, with vinyl records, with a crate of vinyl records.
well, out in
Don't
public
start,
was,
Spoolz. I see you. Don't start.
I think the White Rabbit and then Coaches.
Mm.
Yep.
Those are my two first out in public joints.
Yep.
My very
The
first.
other ones were
album.
like backyards and
Mine was a wedding.
stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Speaking of weddings,
Shouts to Jen Ramo.
Yeah.
Speaking of weddings, I have to stunt real quick before we get into, obviously we want to talk about. I have to stunt on behalf of Jay Diff. Now, we we tend to we go at it from time to time on the show. It's good for the ratings. That's fine. But I gotta give Jay Diff his props because my guy Dayton. Shout out to my homie Dayton. We have a Canadian listener, so he rocks with us. Right? He's in Canada.
Thank you very much.
So Dayton, I went to go see Dayton on Saturday. He was in town. One of his homeboys, a guy that I know, got married from Ball State. Right. So I went and sat with Dayton for a while and got a chance to kick it with his wife, his two young children, just kind of hanging out, getting caught up a little bit. So Dayton texts me later on that night. He says, "Hey, I think there's a guy here that knows you." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "He has your face is on his laptop." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Is it Jay Diff, the guy that's from your podcast?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "He's DJing this wedding." And then it clicked because he told me he had a DJ a wedding. Right. So it turns out he was DJing the wedding that my guy Dayton was at. And Dayton recognized the new old head sticker on his laptop and put two and two. I said laptop. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I caught it.
Independence Day.
You can explain that.
I'm sorry for your loss.
I don't know if that's comparable.
I don't know.
I hate him because he knows I do that a lot. I hate him.
I'm sorry for all your lost.
But he saw the sticker and he's like, "It's Mike's the podcast mic is on." And he's like, "It's Jay Diff." So he introduced himself to me,
he
right?
came up to me. He was like, "Hey, man, you on the podcast, right?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, man, I seen the sticker on the front, and my guy Mike, I went to school with him. I actually was just with him." I was like, "Oh, word? That's what's up."
Brand recognition.
We chopped it up for a minute. But yeah, he definitely recognized me from the sticker being on my laptop.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
That's what's up.
Shouts to Dan T. Quality art.
Yeah, man. So salute to the homie Dayton, man.
Not only that, actually, that's a good segue really quick.
It is.
Because this hat from No Bad Ideas is a Fab Crew hat.
Nice.
Nice and
bam,
the Fab on it.
Oh, that is nice.
And Dan is a Fab Crew.
Oh, okay, word.
Yep.
Representative. So
talented folks, man. For sure.
I like that underneath the bill on that one. That's nice. That's dope.
Mike, I'm gonna go ahead and put claim on that one, unless you already have.
You know what?
You want to add to your 29 hats?
I'm done for probably the next 2 to 3 months.
You probably already got one of these anyway, right?
Yeah, I hope to make it actually.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna bow out.
Alternative facts.
Yeah, I'm about.
Cool.
I'll bow out for a while.
2 to 3 months, meaning next episode.
Give or take.
Let's talk about our beverages today.
Our beverages.
And how our beverages came about.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good.
I can't wait to hear
topic
this
of
one.
discussion.
I will just sit back.
Do you
want to
take it away?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take this.
Oh boy.
So generally, we come and we have a drink or two while we're shooting the show. Mike decided to show up today with one beer. So I walk in.
One tall can of Dos
Equis. I walk in. I'm like, I'm thinking there's some more somewhere, right? I'm like, where's the rest of the beer? Man, I just had this one left.
And this is exactly how it sounded, by the way.
It is exactly how it sounded.
Side note, Mike just looked at me with these eyes of like, help.
Yeah, I just had this one left. I'm like, but generally when you come to somebody's pad with beer, you have a case, a 6-pack or something.
Beer.
And he turns to Spoolz. Spoolz has a bottle of Fiji water. He goes, "Well, Spoolz didn't bring a Fiji bottle of water for it." I'm like, that's different. That's different. People show up with a bottle of water. You don't expect them to bring you a bottle of water.
A damn case of Fiji.
Yeah, you definitely want a beer though. So I went and got us a 6-pack real quick so that we all could have some beer.
It's the first time I've had beer.
Yeah,
alcohol.
Yeah, because we're not gonna say what kind we're drinking because they're not cutting that check.
And I like how you got the label turned around too. That's
I did that
dope.
on purpose.
Yeah, that's dope.
So
okay.
I got 3/4 of a beer today.
Yeah, it's a TR favorite though.
Yeah.
Shouts to TR. I'm gonna go visit him this Friday.
Word. Okay, fellas.
Yeah, I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, that's fine. Is everybody
deflection?
Is everybody happy now? We good to go?
I don't know. Sean, did you have any feelings on that? Did you want to get those out or no?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Let me think here. Do I want to say anything else? No, I'm good.
How do you feel about it?
I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
It's yet another MC moment, man. I love it. Yeah.
Gotta love those.
But next time I'll bring 6 bottles of water with me. Apparently, so, yeah.
Yeah, he clearly skipped over the part that Spoolz came in with 1 bottle of Fiji
No, I
water.
think I did say that.
He did.
Yeah, but you decided to just kind of throw that off to the side, like
No, I absolutely addressed that.
in order for you to be
He
in
absolutely
order
The
for you to be
deflection, the
consistent, no,
deflection of the
Spoolz,
deflection.
in order for him to be consistent on this one, he technically should have said, "Oh, Spoolz, why you didn't bring
No, Mike.
4 other bottles of water?"
No, Mike.
Nah.
Why not?
It's not the same.
Why not?
And I explained
Because common
it.
sense, Mike.
Because common sense. I'm just saying, man. Spoolz came in with 1 bottle of water.
Nah, that's not how it works.
Oh,
That's like saying do you have 3 New York hats for all of us?
he just came in with the water off top, so that's just normal.
I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
When we had Dan T over when he did the logo,
Right.
Dan brought over 6 hop slams.
He
with him.
did.
Hop
did.
Slam's not cheap, I don't think,
He did.
and it's pretty good beer.
yes,
There were 5 of us here.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Dan offered one to all of us.
He did.
Mike walks in today with 1 tall can of Dos Equis.
Yeah, just one.
The beer, it's beer rules. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Especially if you're just out, you know what I'm saying? Say you and the homies might kick it at the park.
Yeah,
People are bringing their own liquor. Yeah, you might walk up to the scene drinking your beer because everybody else got. You already know that.
yeah.
You go to somebody's house though, you don't just take 1 beer. You got to take at least 6.
sharing.
You know what?
It's a rule now.
You know what? I'm at fault on this one, so I'm gonna just go ahead and just take that and just be at fault on this one.
Cool.
All right.
It's all good though.
Yeah, it's fine. We mess up sometimes.
Yeah, we
But
straighten
you
it out.
accept it and you move on, right?
Yeah.
Accountability.
Accountability. That's Spool's word.
Talk
All right.
that talk.
So now that I think we've talked about everything that we had prior to what we were going to dive into today. Young Hove dropped a project.
Who's that?
Young Hove
Oh.
is what he might be referred to as. You could go Jay-Z. You could go.
My man's 50 years old.
Yeah, I know. How old is he? Going on what?
I think he's
40.
50.
He's like 47 or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
46,
Yeah.
47.
Yeah. Well,
Young.
He's
Young
a vet.
Hov.
He's a young vet.
Yeah.
young vet. But 444 dropped 10 tracks. The world is clearly turned over on its side, social media wise, because every comment, everything I see on anything that I am on is speaking to either a bar from the album, how people are receiving it, or why it's not good or why it's good. So apparently or clearly, this album is very impactful. I agree with that as well. So how I want to attack this thing is from 2 sides. I want to first talk about the album as a whole and the project itself. Song, structure, whatever you want to talk about. It's only 10 records, so it's real short. And then I want to talk about the different angles that you can go. You can go how this album is being received. You can go its impact. Like there's many ways that you can go. So let's start off with just the album itself. Like I'm gonna start with Spoolz first. How did you receive the album in terms of, on a level of 8 to 10,
Yeah.
7 out of 10? Like what did you take from it?
I would rate the album. I just got to listen to the whole thing yesterday, and I listened to it twice driving up to South Bend. It's a
Okay.
2-hour-ish drive. So I had heard the story of OJ a few days before. So all in all, I guess if on a 1 to 10 scale, I would probably give it like a 7, maybe 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
And I'll kind of continue to speak on that. And that might change in a month when I listen to it, as I continue to listen to it more. I'll start with the production. I thought No ID did a really good job. I liked this production better than when No ID produced Nobody Smilin' for Common.
Right.
I thought these beats were just better, to be honest with you. I like Nina Simone's music, so it was cool to hear a couple songs that sampled Nina Simone.
Mm-hmm. Was the OJ joint, right?
The OJ joint, and then there's another one where he sampled Baltimore.
Yep. Good call.
Then there's also one where he sampled Sister Nancy, the reggae joint.
Yeah.
So production I thought was really good. So Jay, all right. As someone who I feel has made pretty much pop records over the last several years, I thought this was good. I see what people are saying as far as like, and I don't want to get into that other side. So I guess I'll just talk about the music and the lyrics and content. We'll talk about that other part next.
Right.
I thought the content was good. I like when people rap about stuff like this. I thought Jay was very, and I have a lot of respect for people who can do this. I thought it was very personal on his side, a lot more personal than previous records have been. I thought he showed some humility in doing that too. You don't have to talk about your wife on this stuff. You know what I mean? You don't have to talk, but he did. He was talking about his life, man, and I really dug that a lot. And it was honest, it was genuine, and I appreciate music like that a lot, especially the older I get. So I really dug that part of it. If you're a capitalist, you'll love this album.
There he goes.
As far as content is concerned, money, and that's fine because that's that. You know, he likes money and he makes a lot of it, and
He's worth a lot.
so I can understand him rapping about that. So, yeah, subject matter, content wise, I thought it was pretty good, man. I'm gonna listen to it a few more times. This isn't one that I just listened to once or twice just to prepare for this.
Right.
It's good enough to me to listen to it again and potentially purchase. I think, is it later this week that the CD is going to come, like a physical CD is coming out with 3 extra songs or something like that?
I'd like a physical copy. I haven't heard that, but I would like a physical copy of this one.
$10 for that. I might probably go purchase that.
And it's going to be on Apple Music.
Oh, okay.
Is it? Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
I definitely would cop.
But I'll pass it. You know, I could sit and talk about this for a long time. But all in all, like I said, 7.5 out of 10 for the whole project.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple songs I wasn't huge fan of, but I will say the story of OJ is that video is really well done, very creative, very sharp.
Right.
The lyrics on that song are, I mean, he's got a couple lines on that song that, and on a number of songs on the project, but especially on that one that really stand out to me as far as, I guess, what I'll refer to as his commentary on today's rap, especially from a commercial standpoint. I think some of these young dudes, whether they like it or not, need to hear that, especially from someone like Jay-Z. And I guess just to wrap it up, and I'll pass it over to who is next, is, again, going back to the subject matter and content, I'm glad someone like Jay-Z put a record like this out, because the subject matter and content that he's speaking upon is nothing new. If your ear is really into hip-hop, not just commercial or popular hip-hop or rap, but all of it. So the content's nothing new, but maybe this will spark a bit of a change in hip-hop from a commercial standpoint to where grown-up subject matter is more becomes more popular. I would love to see that happen as a result, because Jay's that guy, man. I mean, you cannot deny that. He's a trendsetter. People wait to see what he's going to do, wait to see what he's going to say. And I hope that this sparks a positive change in popular hip-hop or popular rap to where deeper content, deeper subject matter is more accepted, I guess, and checked for. And maybe it'll put people on to other folks who aren't as popular as Jay-Z, who, again, have been doing this for a long time. So that's it.
I like it. I want to go to Lone next. Lone, you got anything on it? What was your take, just of the album itself?
It was good. I listened to it one time.
Okay.
Right after it came out. It was late, so I don't really remember. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning. It was solid front to back. The songs that stood out were "Marcy Me" was my favorite. Is that what it was called?
Yeah, "Marcy Me."
I also like, the sample selection and stuff was cool. The production was okay. I don't think it was spectacular, but I think it fit really well for what the project was, and I think that matters more.
Yep.
And you can tell there's been a lot of articles popping up about No ID's process and making this. So I know it was intentional. It wasn't
so
like
he kind of craft these beats for Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're not like crazy Just Blaze beats that you might remember from old stuff. It's more in a pocket, and I think it was intentional that way.
There's some soul to this record,
which is what makes No ID a good producer. So
versatile.
Versatile.
Yeah.
But from 10 tracks, listening it front to back, I didn't skip anything. There was nothing that I was like, nah. I liked it front to back. It didn't stand out to me as the best project that's dropped this year, or surely amazing musically or anything like that. It's not like it was bad or anything like that. It's just it's what I do. I listen to hip hop. So, you know, it was a really solid project. Now, I do want to give it another listen when I get time. I just haven't had time. Making a road trip on Friday, so I'll listen to it a few times. But it was good. It was solid. It was kind of refreshing to hear Jay do that because, you know, we'll talk about that other stuff later. But it was good to hear Jay drop a project, you know, like that. So that's all I got.
All right, Jay Diff.
All right. I'm going to rate this project.
Did you have a rating long or too early? You only had one listen, so
I listened to it once. Yeah,
that's cool.
That's not really enough to really gauge it like that.
That's
and
cool.
that kind of goes to the whole, because people were saying it's classic immediately. And I can't stand that conversation.
We're going to jump into that after I finish.
I can't wait to talk about that
later. But
just like people quoting Jay lines online. Yeah, just like that's a
people were quoting stuff that Jay didn't even say on this album. So, but that's a whole nother thing. But my rating of the album is like I'd say a solid 8.5. 8.5. 8.25. Toward 9. I don't know. I've pretty much had it on repeat since it came out. It is it's definitely a different angle that was probably expected of Jay-Z to do on this album. Yep. And we kind of had that conversation beforehand. He could have went a whole another direction with it, as far as just putting all current producers, all current party up subject matter. He could have put the Migos on a couple songs. He could have put Uzi Vert on a couple songs. He could have, you know what I'm saying, took that route and just tried to be hip like one of his predecessors does. And he actually touched on that particular person on the first song of the album, on Kill Jay-Z. I think the album is really good to me. I really enjoy the album, and it's kind of Jay of old. It's not the more recent like Magna Carta, Holy Grail, Kingdom Come even. This is like
that was a really bad album.
Yeah, some people were saying that was their favorite album. I don't know how, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Awful.
Jay is speaking from being a grown, you know what I'm saying, grown man. It's actually, some of it is the reply to Lemonade, because you know his wife dropped an album called Lemonade, which was pretty much about kind of the infidelity and things that go on with marriages. So he addressed
that was in the 444 track, right?
Yeah, he definitely addressed that in that track, which was very personal. Mm-hmm. I think the album is it's not a new idea. I mean, everybody should know that though. It's just the fact that Jay doesn't have to do any of this. He doesn't have to make another album. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to make an album that is this good at his age. You know, and there's some people that are saying the beats sound the same and I don't really like boom bap and blah blah blah. I'm just not I don't understand how people don't like their own culture.
Oh, that's a deep one.
You said a mouthful, sir. Yeah.
I'm not understanding how people don't like their own culture and only like it if it sounds a certain way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you don't like the building blocks that it took to get to this level of culture.
We got to definitely.
That's a great point.
Save that one, because we got to definitely talk about that one. I just want to get the review out because I'm coming right back to you on that one.
Okay.
That's great. That's a great point. Mm-hmm. I didn't mean to cut you off if you were finished with the review.
But yeah, I give it a good 8.5. Easing to the 9. It's a really good Jay-Z album, and it's, like I said, it's different than what was expected, because we had this conversation before about, is anybody excited about the Jay-Z album?
Right.
And I believe I said I'm not really excited about it. It was more because I was worried about where it was going to go.
I agree.
But I was definitely going to listen to it regardless. And I was pleasantly surprised once I listened to it.
This might be my favorite Jay album so far.
That's fair.
I mean, it's up there. You know, it's very close. You know,
that's fair
so far. You know,
that's fair. For me, I give it a solid 8 out of 10. That's where I go with it. I've listened to it probably 2 to 3 times, and I haven't had a chance to, we'll say, dissect it yet. But there are just certain things that I'll go back and try to catch, and I feel happy that I have to. It's been a while. Kendrick will do that, maybe Cole or something, where I'm like, I got to go back and see what he might have meant on this or where he may have been going on this. No ID, to me, he put his foot in the production. To echo what Lone said, it's not about the beats being just amazing. It's about how they fit with Jay on this project. Like, I think he put his foot into the production because everything fits.
That's what being a producer is.
Exactly. It is very, very consistent top to bottom on the production. Like you said, I'm not amazed. There's no PSA on here or anything like that. But it doesn't matter because it works.
But there is PSA on there.
You think so?
The subject matter.
I'm just talking production.
Beats. We're
like
talking
beat-wise. Okay.
like the song PSA.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
like you know how when PSA comes on, everybody loses their mind.
It's strong,
right?
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter, though, because the project is so consistent all the way through. That's hard to do as a producer, to be able to maintain a level of excellence across the board and then have the lyrics match that. Like, that's dope. So I thought No ID did his thing. Jay's bars, like the double entendres, like he's got so much heat on this album lyrically that you got to go back and listen to. I'm just happy that he did that. The subject matter, as Spoolz alluded to earlier, it's nothing new. You can talk, there are so many classic hip-hop albums that have talked about the culture or talked about the black man's plight or talked about whatever. Like, we've heard that before. But what I give Jay props for is the fact that he did this now, in the climate where music is now. Because to me, we have the Odysseys. We know who those people are. We're fans of those people. But on the mainstream level, where you have millions and millions of ears, I don't hear people putting this content out to the masses.
Except Kendrick.
Except,
and that's another person that people hate for no reason.
But the reason I put Kendrick and Hov on different, I hold Hov to a different standard. Hov is like, Kendrick is on his way to being a legend. Hov is like like he's top 2, whatever you want to talk about.
Status.
So I'm going to hold him to a higher standard, being almost worth $1 billion. So I give him props for being able to put this project out and just being like, I'm going to have the candor. It's going to be honest. I'm going to talk about myself, and we just going to put this out here. I'm going to address the black community. I'm going to address everything, financial literacy, everything.
I hope you pick them up.
All of that. If
a lot of financial jewels in there too, man.
Tons of financial literacy on here, and it's just subtle, but it's heat. Like, it's heat. So I give him credit for it, man. I think this album is it's going to be very, very impactful. By the responses that I'm seeing already, I think it's already, the impact is already there. We'll get into that because a couple artists have already started to react.
Is okay. I'll say this too. Because he was saying that if you're a capitalist, you would definitely like this album.
Right.
I kind of see it as, all right, so in high school, we had government and econ, right?
Yes.
Econ they didn't really teach you about a lot of credit.
Right.
Growing up. You weren't introduced to credit until you got to college and people were in your face trying to give you these credit cards.
Right.
So you can go down and buy you a new fit and...
High school economics does not prepare you very well for
it doesn't.
freedom
at all.
or stability in the future.
So for what he's saying in this album, little gems that he's dropping,
right,
is more educational than what you learned in a whole 9-week class in high school.
Yep,
I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
And let me qualify my capitalist statement a little bit, and this might start getting into part 2. If you're okay with that, I don't want to cut you off.
Let's roll because I got a couple angles I want to address as well.
So the capitalist statement. Everybody raps about money, right?
Right.
Commercial, non-commercial money is a topic. We live in a capitalist society, so that makes sense. But all right, so here's what I'll say as far as that's concerned. I'm not anti-capitalist as an individual, but I'm not pro. Some of the things about capitalism that bother me are the justifications people give for the heinous things or crazy things they do to other people and people who are close to them sometimes. That's one of the many criticisms I have. Well, it's okay. It's okay that I did X, Y, Z to this person because I needed to make money to feed,
Okay.
The justification part that lies in capitalism, and that's outside of rap. That's every part of life, right?
Okay.
How many people do you guys know have done shady things to their own family members and stuff like that? It's just so they can get a buck or you know what I mean? Like that's capitalism sometimes, you know?
Plenty.
So
It's a side effect, essentially.
Right. Yeah. I personally, again, not being pro or not necessarily anti-capitalist, but being critical of capitalism in general. Reason being, I think it's funny we've stopped. Like, oh, capitalism's the best. Can't get any better than that. Like, from an ideological standpoint, it's kind of like, democracy. Some of these other things, like somehow we stopped as a society. And it's like, oh, we've come up with everything we possibly can as far as economic systems are concerned or as far as political systems are concerned. But that's just my own personal, has nothing to do with rap necessarily. So Jay-Z, he's made a lot of money, and he raps about his money. You know what I mean? Often. So money comes up in this record, but it's way different, in my opinion, than it's come up in the past when he's made more popular records. It's not, well, I got all this money and I can do anything I want. That's more of the flavor I felt in previous, because it was almost cool. This is more of a, here's how I got here and you can do it too.
Right.
That's the feeling or vibe that I got from him. If you want to listen, if you want to stop acting silly,
exactly.
If you want to be smart, here's how I kind of did it in a way. You can do it too.
Yeah.
So as much as I don't care for capitalism at times, as much as I don't care for music or hip-hop music that constantly talks about money all the time, my hat absolutely goes off to someone like Jay-Z, who in our white-run capitalist society has made the moves that he's needed to make over the years to be independent of all that and still make sure Blue is covered for her life. These twins are covered for their lives, and their kids are probably covered for all of their lives as well.
Talk that talk.
This
so
is
I can
about
certainly
building wealth.
Yes,
rather
as
than riches.
a black person in the United States, and not being dependent upon white people for your whole life. He makes a comment in the story of OJ, F being rich and dying broke. That's kind of what you're subject to when you're in the limelight like that. Is I'm going to be rich and kind of show off in a way, but at the end of the day, like, when you die, how much did you save? How much did you invest?
Right.
How much did you make that money grow? How much did you look out for
Mm-hmm.
your kids or your kids' kids? Floyd Mayweather does a good job of this as well. Of he's made these comments in the media, and I'm not comparing Floyd to Jay, but as far as like Floyd said, you know what? My grandkids are taken care of now. I'm going to start working on my great grandkids.
Yeah,
that is a really responsible, cool way of looking at finances.
Wealth,
man.
It's wealth versus riches.
Absolutely. So my hat goes off to Jay in that realm. As much as I don't care about the money, I understand. I live in this society too, and like I save my money. You know what I mean? Like I try to make the right moves and stuff like that. But anyways, my hat goes off to him for dropping jewels the way he did and rapping about money almost in a different way than anybody else is rapping about it, man. You want to know what's more popular you know what's better than throwing money in a strip club? Credit.
Yeah. I can't. This ain't even the first time that Jay's done this though.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is the first time a lot of people are hearing him.
But a whole album of it?
He really didn't do it for the whole album though.
I agree with that. A whole album.
He did a whole album that's kind of all grown topics.
Oh, sure.
But I'm saying, as far as him addressing what you should do with your money,
right?
This is not the first time he's done this.
I think, and I'm not as big of a Jay-Z fan as you. I'm not a fan, I guess I wouldn't say, but I don't know his music like you do. But I was impressed with the fact that it's not, well, I can go buy anything I want. I can do anything I want. Money, 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 money. But it was more along the lines of, and not just in the story of OJ, but in other songs too. It was just a much more mature vibe as far as the money stuff was concerned.
It's a recurring theme.
But that's what I'm saying with Jay. That's one of the things with him. It's been on a whole more mature thing for, whether you like the last couple albums he's done, he's been on that. Even when you go back to American Gangster, it's about him coming up in the realms, because it's a concept album.
Right.
But it's also a reflection of, I did all of this, and look where I still ended up.
Right.
Even after that, even on Kingdom Come, which isn't a great album, that's the album right after retirement. He's still on he's flaunting a little bit, but he's still dropping little jewels.
Do you think
this is what you should do, and so on and so forth? Magna Carta, Holy Grail is definitely a more pop standard album. It had a bunch of hard-hitting beats. It was cut and dry to the point. It talked about flashing a little here and there. but he's always addressed that. He just addressed it on this album, and it's grouped together with other songs that are pretty much addressing different issues as well. Just on some, it just grew up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it's very inspirational to drop some stuff like that, whether it be capitalistic or informative. Is still to somebody that's listening and wants to pick up and learn something and not be defensive as far as what the context matter is, or he should be rapping about having fun. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear him rap about that.
I always like when people say what other people should be rapping about.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Now, it's one thing to say I'd like to hear this person rap about this more, but it's another thing to be like, well, he should. It's like, really, are you a record executive?
Yeah.
Like, are you a?
I want to go to.
Are you advising Jay-Z on his moves? John Smith, who, you know what I mean? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I want to go to Lone, and I want to change the direction quickly here, but I want to go to Lone from a producer standpoint, because this is what has bothered me on the consumer response level. I hate to be told how I'm supposed to look at a project, because I feel like people that go to buy music and are huge fans of hip hop are going to have a different perspective from someone that has made music for 10 or 15 years and is going to analyze the album for what it is, what it's worth, how it's going to be received, how people are going to look at it, blah, 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 how it was sequenced, how it was mixed, how it was mastered. I feel like people that are artists or rappers or producers or DJs or whatever are going to have a different perspective. And I always get people that tell me, you need to stop riding the fence. Shout out to my homie Jesse. He pushes me every time we talk about this topic. My guy Dennis as well. But it's good. Still sharpen steel, so that's fine. But my angle has always been, I try not to be misconstrued, I'm not going to see the album the same way the person that goes to Best Buy will. It's just not going to be the same. So I can't just say the album is cool and just leave it at that. Right. I don't see it that way. For me, I'm going to look at it as someone that's a part of a 4-man podcast, a dude that's been making music for over 15 years. I'm going to look at it for how it's received.
That's just beats.
That's just beats. How it's going to be received, its impact on the culture, how it was sequenced, how it was mastered, how it was mixed, how it was produced, all of that.
Every little ad-lib that doesn't align.
That's what I'm saying.
I hear everything.
We hear everything. So when I look at it and say the album is cold, but this new material is not anything new, it's like, well, why can't you just say the album is good? I'm saying the album is good, but the album is so impactful. There are many chambers that you can speak to. Do you agree?
Just to that general statement?
Yeah, in terms of how it's different. Like, it's different for us to see it a certain way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I get pushed back all the time about that, and people say, well, you just can't make your mind up. No, the album is great, but I see certain things that you're just not going to see. And
that's even more from a standpoint of, I can even add, aside from just a producer.
Right.
Could also add, just as somebody that works and shares music on that aspect of it too.
Exactly.
So there's two ways to look at it. The way that I listen to an album is completely different than person that doesn't care about anything but just likes Jay-Z.
Oh my God, thank you.
If you just like Jay-Z and you're a fan of Jay-Z, you're gonna like Jay-Z because you like Jay-Z.
And that's fine though.
I can't really say that because I like Kanye, but I don't like Kanye.
But you don't fall in that category.
You don't. Yeah. That's what we're talking about.
You
don't.
You have an ear. Like, you have a particular ear that you, like, you've got over 1,000 posts on Bringing Down the Band, right? You're a DJ. That is not the same person as somebody that just
goes to the store and likes Jay-Z.
Goes to the store, buys Jay-Z, listens to Jay-Z, buys another album, listens to it, but doesn't dissect it like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a completely different mindset.
Yeah, so I'm literally more critical of the people I really like.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it is completely different. It's not even an argument worth having, to be honest. It's
the perspectives just aren't the same. And I always try to stress, I'm not saying because we've done XYZ or anyone has done XYZ that they're better than the general consumer. That's not what I'm saying. Well, I'm saying that our perspectives are different.
The perspectives are different, and the thing is with that is I think you're being nice because when it comes down to it, our perspectives are greater than the consumer because we know more about music.
Man.
From a tastemaker point of view.
From a tastemaker point of view, and from somebody that literally creates and I've mixed and mastered and put out over 50 projects. So
I try to tell them.
have that conversation with me, like step your bars up if you're gonna like it. I mean, that's what it is. Now, from that aspect,
Exactly.
from somebody that just wants to consume and enjoy it, it's completely different. But
It
those are
is.
two completely different conversations.
They are too.
And
I agree.
you know, people can like whatever they like. I don't care what anybody likes. You can like whatever you like. But if you want to ask me a question about something critical about what's going on in the project, I'll tell you.
And it's going to be from the angle of, like you said,
Where I come from.
who I am.
Right.
And that's to me, in my personal opinion, that's no knock on anybody else. If you are because the same people that I'm talking about that we talk to are good friends of mine, very credible. If I didn't talk to you or discuss hip hop with you, I wouldn't even respect you anyway. Like, so the fact that we go back and forth,
Absolutely.
we've done that since we were in college.
Yeah, and it's like you said,
It's
though,
fine. Like, I just want to drive the point home.
there's a different way that you look about music if
It's
you're a part of
different.
music.
It's
Regardless
different.
of how much a fanboy you are or how much you study artists, there's levels to
There's more. It's more than saying the album is good to me. I can't just say, "Oh, the album was dope." I'm not wired that way.
it. Right.
Like, we have to talk about it. We have to talk about its impact, how it's received, the pros and cons, how it relates to history, the hip hop history. We have to talk about all of that.
The greatest thing about Jay's project is the fact that he is Jay-Z.
Yes.
And he dropped this album when he dropped it.
Yes.
When he didn't have to. But the fact that he is Jay-Z and he can put out anything that he wants.
Yes.
He could put out a whole album of him just saying, yeah, yeah. and it would probably sell 100,000 copies.
Oh, yeah.
Off him being Jay. He knew that.
And people be like, "You just don't get it." That's what they get. That's
But
the
I'm not
kind
even
of
joking.
credit that they give to Kanye all the time. It's like, "Oh man, you just don't get where he's coming from." Nah, it's lazy. He's not. It's not as deep as you're trying to make it.
It's lazy.
Extremely
Guys,
lazy.
People say the same thing about the Migos.
Right.
You just
That
you
you
just,
don't
you
get
just
it?
don't get it.
I mean,
oh man, it's just something you
I
just don't
think
quite understand.
if somebody says you don't get the Migos, I think they're saying that maybe you don't get their lifestyle. But as far as getting, like, breaking down, you're not breaking down a bunch of Migos lyrics
Not the same
to where
way.
it's going to mean something. Nah, people are literally saying that, well, Kanye, when he's doing this, you know, they're trying to make it deeper than what it's not that deep.
It's not that deep.
I agre.
You know what I'm
not that
saying?
Do you guys think that this album? So I watched a really good interview with 2 Chainz, who I happen to like. You know, about a week ago.
And we're running short on time, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, I do see that. We got to wrap it up. Go ahead, Spoolz.
Does this record help? You know, Atlanta's been winning in commercial rap for the last 10 years. They've been on top, I would say. Right.
Right.
Yep.
Does this help bring New York back up if they can be followed up by
No,
other,
I
other
don't even
artists?
think it's
regional.
not even
No?
it's not regional at this point.
No,
No.
longer.
It's just, can you
Not
rap?
put them back on top, but does this help?
Nah, it has nothing to do with it.
I think the regional argument is almost dead.
Yeah.
I think we're past that now. I think there's a new era now.
I'd agree with that if Atlanta rappers didn't continue to be number 1 on the charts on a regular basis.
That's fair.
But
If
I mean,
Future wasn't number
think about
1
it,
and
though.
Migos wasn't number 1.
They all happen to be from Atlanta, but other people all around the country try to imitate that same sound.
Mm-hmm.
In
And
New
they
York.
all still end up like Fetty Wap. You would have never thought that Fetty Wap was from New Jersey.
That's a
Right.
good point.
Fetty Wap he sounds like an Atlanta rapper.
When I heard the Migos first, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out. I didn't know if they were from Atlanta because it sounds a lot like Chicago drill to me.
Yeah.
Hey, Bad and Bougie
I mean,
is dope.
Designer is from New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Atlanta's had a tremendous influence. I
Yeah.
just
Definitely. His first song is talking about he got brides in Atlanta. He had
Yep.
never even been to Atlanta.
Yeah.
So
So
interesting.
these are things that, you know, we can spill back into for another episode or whatever. So that's perfectly fine. I just think this is a healthy conversation. This is an impactful.
We could go a lot longer than
yeah, because
this.
we didn't even touch on the whole what I meant by the whole culture thing either.
But I think,
Yeah.
but I think
I
we
wanna
can
hear you
revisit.
talk
We can
about that,
revisit
too.
that though. We can revisit that though.
That'll be
because
part 2.
Yeah, because that was dope. That was a very good point.
Yes.
So we definitely will start off part 2 with that one. That's a very dope point. We'll go ahead and wrap up episode 36 because I know we're crunched for time. Please subscribe. Button stickers. We need you guys to come out and subscribe. and support. Patreon.
Patreon.com/newoldheads.
Yes. For Lonegevity, DJ Jay Diff, DJ Spoolz. I am Major 7. Please go to YouTube and subscribe. Patreon, subscribe. We got buttons, stickers. We need you guys' support. You guys have been great. The ones that have subscribed. The new people, we need you too.
Thank you.
And we thank you all. We'll catch you next week.
Indeed.
Peace.
Indeed.
Holler.